All right, hello and welcome back for another tutorial in Maya. Today it's all about clouds and the cloud bank. And as you can see here, this is just a real simple physical sun and sky node, and I have some clouds up here. But this cloud bank is a preset 3D fluid that you can find in the 3D fluid container section. So we're going to take a look at that, how to animate this. It's sort of a different way of making clouds morph together and move about through the sky kind of vaporously. And there's another tutorial about creating clouds, and that's just with a single puffy cloud. So anyway, this is sort of a different approach and one more option that you have with using the physical sun and sky stuff with a 3D fluid container. So real simple stuff here. We're going to show you kind of where I'm at. I made a 300 frame movie. And in this sequence, you'll see that the clouds kind of move through the sky. There's some shadows being cast out. Now, I don't know how well this shows up on YouTube, so hopefully this won't, it'll look right and it won't be all jerky, but this is really a smooth flowing animation of some clouds in that cloud bank that are moving through the sky. They're casting the shadows the way they should be, and it's a way of just adding a good, real, dramatic realism to any kind of scene that you're building. So let's take a look at how we get there. Right out of the box, these clouds don't look very good, and I'm going to call up Maya here, and we'll take a look at where I'm at in the overall scene. So far, I have a cloud bank, a 3D fluid container right here that I've just sort of scaled up quite a bit. So we're going to take a look at the default settings of this 3D fluid container and create one that looks like this. So in the end, this is what it'll look like. But you'll see when we start out, the default settings for the cloud bank look really bad. They're really dark, and we'll go see those right now. So in this case, I'm probably just going to want to I'm going to save this cloud bank, but I'm going to hide it, and we're going to create another one. So I'll just select my cloud bank here and maybe turn off that visibility. And now we're ready to create a cloud bank. I have a simple plane. It's just a simple NURBS plane down here. And if you check your render settings, make sure you're in production quality, and that your indirect lighting is on here, and that you have assigned this scene the physical sun and sky. I already have it assigned to my scene, so I'd be deleting it and if I did that. So click on your button there. I'm good. We're pretty good to go. So we'll just leave everything at default for the moment. And the first thing you want to do is make sure you're in your dynamics menu set, and come up to fluid effects, and we're going to go to create 3D container. And by default, a 3D container will just show up there. Let's just move it up a little bit, kind of like right into there, and we're pretty good to go. All right, so in this case, let's start with a preset. So because this box is active, I'm going to click on my presets here. Oh, nope. First, I'm going to switch to fluid shape. All right, and let's get all the way up here. And we have pretty much, it's a shape. Mine's called shape 3 because I've created another one or two within this scene, so it just is sequentially numbering them. But go ahead and hit your preset and come down to cloud bank, and we'll go to replace, and that instantly creates a little cloud bank there for us. So you can see if I kind of rotate around the scene, there it is. And for the moment, I'll just leave it sort of right there. I'm going to do a quick render. I'm going to bring this over, and we'll do a large render on it. Sometimes this stuff can be taxing on your system and take a lot of time to render. So as you can see, this is the default setting right out of the box, and it really does not look all that good. I mean, it's great if you need dark gray clouds, but rarely would you ever see that on this type of in this environment. So let's get to work on that and take a look at a couple of things to sort of just instantly go to do some adjustments to make it look better. Okay, so I'm going to come out of here, and we'll go down to the you'll notice that open up every one of your drop-down menus in this Fluid Shape 3 and just sort of take a look at everything in there. For the most part, we're not concerned with density, velocity, turbulence, temperature, anything like that right now. We're just going to play around with animating the texture itself. So you'll notice that you have tons of stuff, and here's what we're really interested in. We're interested in the shading, the color, and the incandescence, and some of these values. And we're interested in doing some stuff with our threshold, amplitude, ratio, stuff like that, and then our texture time. So anyway, those are what we're concerned with right now, but we'll start with shading. So let's go up here and look at where our gradient is at. This is by default the gradient. This is just giving it its color. Anything you see here that turns up in your render here, that is what that's referring to. So in this case, I'm going to go to my outliner and we'll do a quick comparison. The Fluid 1 that I have already set up has a gradient pattern that looks something like this. And you'll notice I just sort of varied what it looks like. If I check on our Fluid 2, watch what happens to these over here. If I check on Fluid 2, now you're seeing the gradient of what the dark stuff looks like. So in order to get this sort of set where I want to kind of be in this color palette up here from, say, like a white to a cream to a gray. And then I just threw in a white, blue, white, black. So we'll try and mess around with that real quick and see if that does anything for our clouds. So I'm going to click on our clouds there. Let's get this outliner out of the way. And in order to set this, I set a white point by just clicking on this line and adding a different color. So in this case, I want to add white. So that's white now. And here's my gradient. So that's sort of the start of what we were working on as far as the, white to cream to gray. So I'm going to click on this and set my color here to more of like a gray. And that should lighten things up a bit. And it won't necessarily show up perfectly over here. It's never a good factor to look at what it looks like in your viewport. Always do a quick render and sort of check it against what you had before. And you see it came up in values slightly, but not quite what we're looking for. A lot of times that's caused by this incandescent ramp, sort of the default that they have set here. So I might want to start with a somewhat of a brighter color. So I'll just click on that one and come over here, and we'll start with, like, say, maybe something bright like that. And then in this case, I might want to go something just a little bit maybe darker. I don't know. It's all experimental, and you'll get the hang of it once you start playing around with all of these options. All right, we'll see what that does. And it's a matter of fine-tuning it and doing a lot of rendering it in the beginning to get your clouds looking the way that you want them to. So you can see where that sort of brought the level up a bit. We could even go a little further. I might want to just add another white point in here and set that to a white, and that'll give me a little higher ramp there, and we can see what that does. Okay, so it's just a matter of really whacking out your colors and stuff up in here. You might want to just keep adding a couple of points with some variance in those points, and just keep doing a render here. Now you'll notice where you have a little bit slightly above here under shading, you have a glow intensity. If you bring your glow intensity up or your transparency up, it is exactly what it says. I'll just bring that up a bit and show you what it does. So there you go. We don't really want that much glow. So anyway, that's how it works. Let's get rid of our glow. Normally I like to leave glow down. A little bit goes a long way, but just leave your glow kind of at default. Now you can also play around with transparency. That means exactly what it means. If you bring your transparency all the way up, you're going to get a little less transparency there, and you bring it down. Now, as you'll notice, the edge drop off. Let's leave it transparency about there. You have something called the edge drop off, and this right here is the shape of what this cube is up here, so, or how it appears. So let's just change our shape to more like a sphere. And you'll notice that it sort of gained a more spherical look to it. And if we compare that against this render, you know, you're going to get something that has a little bit more sweep to it, which really would look better, you know. And in terms of this, you can scale this and do various things, whatever you want with it. And let's see what that did to it. All right, so you get the picture. That's kind of how you work with it. It's pretty simple. You know, you can create a sky and everything. Now, in this case, this sky is just going to be static. There's not a lot of movement in here at all, or any at all, because we haven't really done anything to it yet. But here's how we're going to start morphing these clouds together through just animating the texture of these clouds. So I'm going to go over here. And let's come over into our fluid shape. And this is where some other possibilities exist down here in your textures. For example, you can mess around with your threshold. That increases the threshold of your clouds. I'll go ahead and increase the threshold, do a quick render. And you'll see it does exactly that. Adds a lot more clouds. So we don't really want our threshold to be set there. We want to kind of make them vaporous. So let's just bring the threshold down. So you get the idea. There's a couple of things you can play around with amplitude. Sometimes you can slide the sliders here and see what they do. You know, and just kind of move them around, take a render. So get it the way you like, with just setting a little bit of parameters over here. Do a bunch of renders, and you'll get something that looks kind of like you want it. Let's take a quick render here. All right. I want to add a little bit more to that, and I'm going to bring my threshold up a little. Okay, now we're ready to animate this texture. We're ready to make these clouds sort of move about. So we have enough there. Let's look at how to do that. If you come down here to your texture time, this is where things are going to be happening when you animate this texture time. So it's really animating the texture over time, and that causes that sort of vaporous melding together and things like that. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have about 300 frames set or something like that. That was what mine was before, so I'll just leave it there. And we'll go back to frame 1. Put your cursor at frame 1. And if you come over here, you can go to your texture time, right click on that, and set a key. Now, you want to move this forward maybe to the end of the animation. And in this case, we'll just give the texture time a little bit. We're not going to make it go too fast, but I'll sort of like just go to there and just randomly set a key. Okay, and then hit play. Now, as you can see, the clouds are moving about up here, and they're doing various stuff, and you know, there's really no way to get a solid idea how this is going to look until you render it out. So what I like to do is sort of look at what it looks like in say frame 1 or toward the beginning, and do a quick render. And you know, I see I have clouds. Great. I might want to move ahead to, I'll go ahead and play to frame whatever. And I'll try and remember how this looks. If this has some you know, clouds that are distinct, I'll try and remember and see how much those change. So I'll just go ahead and do another quick render. And yeah, I see some change over here. So I can assume that they're sort of growing or whatnot. But that's the hard part of this, is you have to sort of set up your simulation and then go render out an entire sequence just to make sure that that's going to be how you want it to look. This is not real time, so get used to it. All right, so anyway, that's something to look at there. And that's about it. You can mess around with, where the center of implosion is and things like that. You can also animate this stuff over time too. So remember, anything that you can sort of right click on and set a key for, there is a way to sort of use that to do different unusual things with this. Like I could maybe set the implode over here and go back to frame 1, and let's get our implode down here and set our implode key. So we'll set a key there, come forward a bit, and then maybe take this implode level all the way out to there, and then go ahead and right click and set key. And then that way, in between this section, there will be something completely different going on. But the mystery is you won't find out until you render. Fortunately, this 300 frame sequence only took me about maybe, let's see, it took about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So it went pretty quick. But I was also at 640 by 480. This original little clip is a 640 by 480. So, you can get a fairly good idea how it's going to work, like just doing a quick output. So anyway, there you go. That's the way to do it, or at least one way to do it. And I hope you learned something. And as always, thanks for watching. Read a book and learn something every day. Be the best person you can possibly be, always. Okay, thanks for watching.